Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're going to wait just a few more minutes and let people kind of filter in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Awesome. Hello, everybody. We might still have a few more friends join us, but we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Karina Carpenter. I'm one of the associate directors for new student orientation and family programs at Duke. We're excited to have you here today to talk with our financial aid team. Everyone's popping up. And so they're here to kind of talk and answer any questions that you have. We have the Q&A function enabled and ready for you to type any of your questions. So go ahead and open that up, post your questions in there. We'll answer either live or type them out. And then I'm sure our panelists as well from our team will share any other communications, emails. If you have one-on-one questions that you have, I'm sure they're happy to answer. Just a few housekeeping things. Next week, we have our mandatory training on Monday for our policies before you get to campus. And then that following Wednesday, we have a move-in webinar. So if you're interested about all questions about move-in, that's your time to be there. But today is everything money and financial aid. So that being said, I'll turn it over to Miranda McCall and we'll talk about that.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Karina, for the introduction. And I have here with me some wonderful colleagues. I have Nicole, David, and Anna. Each of us plays a different part in what it means to help you navigate finances here at Duke. And we're very, very happy to be with you today. As Karina mentioned, we're here to answer some questions. I'm going to go through a presentation, and we will allow time at the end for live Q&A. So you can put questions in the Q&A. We can answer some of those in writing, but I'll also have an opportunity to actually answer them. So for those of you who are tuning into this as a recorded session, you'll be able to also get information about some of the common questions that are being asked so that you'll see those as well, and not just those who are in the chat today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And even though I know that PowerPoints are not that exciting, I promise that I will do my best to make this a useful time for you, something that hopefully will help you navigate your time here. Again, my name is Miranda McCall. I'm the Assistant Vice Provost and Director of the Financial Aid Office here at Duke. And I've got a few things to talk to you. I mentioned I really want this to be useful. And so here's what we're hoping to cover. And first of all, what impacts your aid? What's going to cost you money, and actually what doesn't? Those are important things for you to know as you start your time here at Duke. One of the top questions we get is, what is work study and why should I use it? So we're going to talk about work study, all things work study today. And we're also going to talk about what are the most important things you need to know as you start the semester. Coming in as a Duke student, there are some things that should be top of your priority list as you're thinking about navigating Duke. And along with that, we want to share some resources with you. We said this is a session for all things money. We mean that. So we're going to talk not just about financial aid, but we're going to talk about helping you make the most of your money while you're here. We'll talk a little bit about personal finance as well. So we're excited about that. And then we'll move into our live Q&A. So a lot of ground to cover. But we're going to start with this first question, which is, what impacts my financial aid and my costs, and what doesn't? And so let's start going through the list. People have questions about housing. You all are coming in as a part of Quad X, but you'll be moving into different housing as you progress in your time at Duke. And it's really important for you to know that no matter where you're living on campus, your cost is the same if you are on need-based financial aid. So it doesn't matter if you're in a single room or a double room, if you're living over on Swift or you're living in a quad, wherever you are with your group, it's going to cost the same for you on aid. So don't try to save money as you're thinking about where to live on campus. It's going to be the same for all on-campus housing as an aided student. The same is not true for dining. And so likely if you're coming in, you probably have dining plan I, if I remember correctly, as to how they've got you signed up, but you're going to have an opportunity at some point to begin to choose your dining plan. And there are going to be a lot of rumors. We work so hard every year to quell those rumors, but you'll hear that financial aid covers a certain dining plan or doesn't cover a different one. And the truth of the matter is your aid stays exactly the same no matter which dining plan you choose. So keep that in mind when you do get the opportunity to choose your plan. If you get a more expensive one, it will cost more to you as an aided student. If you get a less expensive one, it will be cost savings to you unless you didn't buy one that's large enough to cover all the meals you need to eat in a day, in which case that's not your best cost savings. So just keep in mind your financial aid will not be adjusted based on your dining plan. So pick the one that meets your needs when you have the opportunity. Something else. Um, what costs you money, what doesn't? How do you begin to navigate financial aid? What does it cover? What can we do? One of the things that you need to know is you can, if your financial aid and is based on your circumstances, if your circumstances have changed, you have things that needed updating on your aid application, or maybe the taxes that you gave us when you applied, your more recent tax documents actually show a really different picture. You can tell us that. And I'm telling you this in your first year orientation because you're going to be here for 4 years. And what happens today, I want you to remember this because what happens in your junior year might be really different. And we want to plant the seed early that our office is here for you and that you can communicate with us. You can let us know. We would much rather you ask us about ways that we can assist you or how something might affect your aid, then we would you just go and make assumptions about it. That's what we're here for. So please do check with us. We have a section of our website that's devoted to your changing circumstances and giving you specific steps. So if you're worried about something not being considered or if your circumstances have changed since you started, please start with that page. It'll tell you what financial aid can consider and what it can't. Something else that we need you to know about financial aid cost and what we can cover, and this is really important. Duke student health insurance. So every student is likely to start out seeing a charge for health insurance on your bill. If you haven't looked at your bill, we'll talk in a minute about how to do that to make sure that you get used to looking at it. But if you haven't taken any action, chances are there's a charge out there for health insurance. And one of the things that we want you to know is that financial aid can consider health insurance if you don't have adequate coverage here, but you've got to go through a process to make sure that we can do that. And if you have health insurance, it turns out we can remove the charge. So you just need to go through a process to either have that charge removed from your account, or if you don't have adequate health insurance, let us know that we need to help you with it. And there's a process to take that on. Once you've gone online and you've submitted your waiver request, you go online, you submit the waiver, and you say, hey, I don't want to pay for health insurance. I'm a student on financial aid. If you say you wanted it waived and you have adequate health insurance, we'll remove the charge. But if you get a notice that says, hey, your waiver has been denied, don't panic. That's actually okay. That's what lets us know that we can cover the charge for you. They'll say, hey, your insurance doesn't work in Durham. It doesn't cover as much as the Duke student plan does, and you're going to need to take that plan. That's just fine. We'll get that notice and then your financial aid will be updated. That's something we can take care of for you if that happens. We just need you to initiate the process and we need you to do it by September 15, 2022. Okay. So you've got a little bit of time, but you should actually do it now. because I promise once you arrive on this campus, as much as I would like to think that this was a meaningful exchange and you're going to remember this conversation forever, there's going to be a lot that's going to compete for your attention. What you don't want is to have taken no action and then pay a charge that could have been free for you, right? It's a few $1,000s, so we definitely don't want you to pay this unnecessarily. So please take action. If you've got questions about it, you can get more information on the Student Health website. You can reach out to the Student Affairs Insurance email address, and they're happy to address them. And we have the exact steps you need to take with screenshots and everything right on our website. So there's no reason not to get this taken care of. Financial aid can help with this, and we want you to know. Here's another question that we get a fair amount. What impacts your aid? What costs you or doesn't cost you? People say, well, okay, I know you're going to tell me about work study in a minute, but what if I got a job? What if I get a summer job? Is that going to hurt me? And is that going to hurt my eligibility for financial aid? What if I don't use my work study and I just work somewhere else? What's going to happen to me? And the answer is, it's probably okay. Actually, it's fine. We do think that you'll probably be working in the summer or taking some hopefully paid internships in the future. And so generally speaking, if you're earning less than $10,000 in non-work study money over the course of a year, it's not going to matter for your financial aid. There's no penalty for going to do that. Now, we have had a couple of students, and I applaud them for this. They managed to land some really great summer jobs on Wall Street at a boom time, and they really did earn 40, 50, $60,000 over the course of the summer. That actually did change their financial aid picture. So once you're earning at levels that look closer like salaries than just summer jobs, you're going to see some changes in your aid. But generally speaking, you are not penalized for work outside of Duke. Another question that we get a lot is, hey, I've got an outside scholarship. How's that going to impact my aid? Well, this is a nice little chart about how financial aid works. So when we think about how much aid you get, we think about the fact that, okay, here's your family contribution, here's how much you can pay, and then we fill the rest with aid. And a portion of that aid that we fill it with is loan and work study. So we cover the difference of your costs with loan and work study offers. The first thing that's going to happen when you get outside aid is it comes in and it replaces that loan and work study offer. All right, that's usually $2,200 in work study and up to about a $5,000 loan that's in your initial aid offer. We will replace that when it comes through with the external scholarship. See, it pops in right there. And then when that happens, if you are receiving more than you were offered in that initial letter, that $2,200 and that $5,000 loan, at that point, it starts reducing the Duke grant aid. All right, but not before. So it's at that point that begins to reduce your Duke grant aid. So we certainly encourage you to bring outside scholarships with you. They are to your advantage. And a top question we get is, I actually want to work. I actually need that outside scholarship and that $5,000 loan. Depending on the level of aid you're receiving, there's a really good chance we can still offer those to you. And if that's what you need, just email us. We're trying to reduce your student debt. We're trying to reduce your work, the necessity for you to work anytime we can. So that's why we do that first. But if you're telling us that you actually need all of this in combination, we'll try to reoffer that work and that loan to you. It's just a quick email to us, and we can make that adjustment and let you know how much we can allow you to keep. Let's move on to the next set of questions, which is, tell me more about this work. You're telling me I can get it back even if I have an outside scholarship in many cases, and you're telling me I might be able to get a job outside of Duke. Why would I want a job, Duke? And what is work study? This is a strange thing to say, work and study. So let's talk a little bit about, first of all, why is it financial aid? Work study, it's an on-campus job. And it can also be an off-campus job if they're a nonprofit that's participating with us. But it pays you just like a paycheck. It's not something that goes in and automatically goes against your tuition bill. You're getting a job, you're going through an employment site to find and interview for those jobs just like any other. The thing that makes it financial aid is that we're paying a significant portion of your wage through our office. Your paycheck is actually deposited into your bank account. And as you work, you're getting at least $15 an hour. That's minimum wage here for on-campus jobs at Duke. The wage may vary if you're working an off-campus job that participates in work study. But if you're on campus, that minimum is $15 an hour. There are jobs out there that pay more. And so when you go on the employment site, they'll tell you what the hourly rate is because some do pay a little more than the 15, but 15 will be your minimum. But we're paying 50 to 75% of that hourly wage through our office. And so the reason work study is nice to have um, is because you're a much more competitive candidate if you come with work study. Because if I'm the biology department and I want to hire somebody to work in my lab, and I've only got to pay 25 cents on the dollar of your wage compared to the whole dollar for your wage for a non-work study student with the same qualifications. First of all, we encourage people to hire work study students. And secondly, they're able to stretch their departmental dollars further. So a lot of people say, I don't need to use my work study. You know, I see that there are a lot of jobs advertised that say it's not required. You'll still want to tell them that you have work study because it's to your competitive advantage. That said, you don't have to work at all, right? So we put that offer to have work study in your financial aid. But if you're able to cover your costs without a campus job, you're not obligated to go out and find one just because we've made that opportunity available to you. I mentioned earlier it's about $2,200 is what's offered as a need-based aid recipient here at Duke. And so if you start getting to a place and you think, gosh, at $15 an hour, am I going to be able to earn $2,200 over the course of an academic year? Probably. That would only be about 5 or 6 hours a week at a rate of $15 an hour to earn over the course of a typical 2 semesters. And in fact, we anticipate we'll see students get a little bit closer to that $2,200 as they work. So if you're in a place where you feel like you're about to run out of work study money and are thinking, hey, it's only February, is there any more out there for me? We'll actually try to proactively offer some to you if we see you're getting close to earning the maximum. And if you have any questions about that, you're free to email us as well. The kinds of work study jobs are pretty vast. I mentioned a lab. You can work in the library. I think even the Lemur Center has a few work study positions available each year. You can also work off campus, tutoring in neighborhood schools. There's a wide variety of jobs, but how do you know what they are? So this is a very tiny screenshot from the new student employment website. If you try to ask a student who has been doing work study because you know them and they've been at Duke for a long time, this is the first year on the new student employment site. So they are likely to give you bad advice. So don't listen to them. Listen to us. We're going to go to the new student employment website and you're going to find a job on there by clicking on students. And I'm going to show you a screenshot of that in just a second about how you navigate there. But you're going to see things listed in a little quick links of different kinds when you get to this. Don't be confused. It's a world of opportunity available to you. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what you're seeing when you get there. You can apply to on-campus work study jobs, off-campus work study jobs, and you can also apply to on-campus non-work study jobs and potentially still be able to utilize your work study. So once you click on students from that main page, you click on I want to find a job, and you'll get to a screen that looks a lot like this. And the places that I just mentioned are highlighted on the screen. Let me tell you about on-campus non-work study jobs. You can have work study and still apply for those jobs. What it means is that the employers on that site wanted to keep the talent pool as wide as it could. They didn't want to limit opportunity to talented students if they weren't on work study. But remember what I said about your competitive advantage as a work study student? When you apply for that job, be sure to tell that department, hey, I'm a work study student. I come with that additional benefit. I understand that's not required, but I just want to let you know that I can utilize that benefit when I come to your department. So feel free to look for jobs on any of those links. You can also be a human subject research volunteer if you so choose. That is not a work study position though. So please note that. Not everything on here is related to work study, but these are the 3 categories where you could use them. So that's our quick pitch on work study. But what we're really here to do is say, okay, you're going to be here before you know it. We can't believe how quickly you are going to be here on campus, and we're really excited to meet you. The summer has flown by for us too, and we want to make sure you've got the most important information when you arrive. Now, they say redundancy is a good thing, so I'm just going to say it one more time in case you just joined. Maybe you were typing in the chat. What's the most important thing? Well, one of the top important things that you need to know is, surprise, health insurance. And so I'm going to say it a different way. Students on need-based grant aid should almost never have to pay for Duke's health insurance charge, because either you're going to waive the charge because you already have health insurance, or you don't have health insurance and you're on need-based aid from us, and we're going to cover it for you. But please do not pay thousands of dollars that you don't need to. By September 15th, just go through the process and we'll be able to waive that. So we want to make sure that you hear that, because that is probably one of the biggest and most costly mistakes that you can make as an incoming first year student, is to miss the deadline for health insurance. We want to waive that charge if we can. Something else that we need you to know is how much you owe. I promised we would get to this earlier in the presentation. And so one of the things that I want to say here is a shot on the right-hand side that shows your dashboard and Duke Hub. If you're not frequently visiting Duke Hub, please do that before you arrive on campus. It's an important place to go. I happen to know many of you have been visiting this, because some of the top questions we get are, when I click on what I owe, it doesn't say anything. When is that going to say something? And we have the answer for you. August 19th. It's going to start saying things on August 19th. And I'll tell you why, not that you asked, but in our defense. The federal government does not legally allow us to put money on accounts until 10 days prior to your classes start. That's when we can get the money to put on there. So that's why your aid's not showing up yet. When we printed your bill, it said anticipated aid, right? What you're seeing when you log into Duke Hub isn't anticipated. This is what's really going on your account. And so that's why it doesn't look there's aid out there yet. It has to be 10 days prior to the start of class. And we would also like to encourage you that while What I Owe is a quick and easy to read screen, it doesn't tell you everything you really need to know. And we would love, in this very first engagement with Duke Hub, for you to learn to click on Account Activity Classic. And we're not saying that just because we're old. Like, yes, I do like, the old school, like Mario kinds of games where everything looks kind of terrible, and, like Minecraft. And you like Minecraft too, maybe. There's something good about Classic. But we're actually encouraging it not just because it looks terrible and that's what we're used to. We're encouraging it because it's the only screen that will show you a live account of your transactions. So I'm going to talk about something called Flex in a minute, and what that means and how to use your card. If you go make some Flex charges and you go to Account Activity Classic, that's the place where you're going to see that you actually had a charge on there. You'll see those kinds of things go through. When we charge you for, let's say, parking. If you go to What I Owe today, you're not going to know, is my parking charge on there? Is it not on there? When did it come on? As you are here over the course of 4 years, if you did something in a prior term and maybe you forgot to pay a parking ticket, not that you'll get parking tickets, but maybe you did, or maybe you forgot to turn that book in exactly on time, and so there's a little library fee out there or something, and you cannot figure out, well, What I Owe is not going to give you that, but Account Activity Classic will show all your terms on there. So you'll be able to go back and see exactly what's going on. It's a good habit. I've sold it as much as I can, so I'll move on, but Classic is good. The other things that we get, top questions. How am I going to get my books? When do I get my books? Supplies, about online materials, all of those things. So we don't bill you for books directly. We don't issue them. You're going to get a syllabus for each of the classes. You might be able to see some of those online already. And if that's the case, it's up to you to go out and get any assigned materials for the class. Now, oftentimes we do recommend that you not go rush out. And this is just a hot tip that you'll get also from students who have come before you. You don't necessarily have to buy all your books right away. Oftentimes you'll go to a class and a professor might say, this turns out those are recommended, but only these are necessary. There's also this thing called drop add. Your academic advisors have probably been telling you about this as well over the course of the summer, which is you might change your schedule over the course of the initial. You might get to a class and maybe something that you'd really hope to get into, suddenly you can. Giving yourself a little time to buy books gives you a window of opportunity. And you'll know very quickly what you'll need in advance and you won't need. But those will be something that you'll need to purchase. You'll purchase those out of that family contribution. When we figure out how much it costs to come to Duke, we factor in the fact that you'll have to pay for books. And so we understand your family contribution isn't always what you directly owe to us. A part of that you owe yourself just to help you with those kinds of expenses. And so books are one of those things. Your costs will vary widely. If you're in a science course and they've chosen the very latest textbook, and this textbook is only available in certain places, and so you've either got to buy it new or you might just have an online resource, it could be pricey, shockingly expensive for books. Other things, if you're taking American literature class, you might be able to just check out the book from the library and you've got no cost for that because it's something that's carried in lots of places. So it will vary widely from year to year. Please keep that in mind. And so we've just sort of tried to give you some guidelines about what we think those will cost. But please check the syllabus because they should also give you some cost estimates as well for what you can expect. Here's some options to save you money on that. First of all, shop around. You are not obligated, and I know I'm on a recorded session, but you're not obligated to buy your books from Duke stores. So don't feel like you have to go get that brand new textbook and buy it straight from us. You can shop around. Some things are a little harder to find. They may be selling them in Duke stores. But we do know that there are lots of options for purchasing things. You don't have to buy your books new. If it's a paper version, you can buy a used one. There are rental programs where you can rent them. And if you did buy a physical copy of the book, you can sell them back at the end of the semester as well. And Duke Stores does purchase books as well. And you can also use the library. The library is an option. Students who are affiliated with the Duke Life program, that's for low-income first-generation students. There's also a program that if there's a certain material that you need assistance with, they do have some books that you can borrow from them as well. So you can check out Duke Life, and they've got information on the textbook borrowing program as well. What about a computer? A lot of people have this question. So we don't offer grant assistance for computers. There are certain programs that purchase computers for students, our international students, for instance, who are on financial aid, receive a computer. We have Clark Scholars who receive computers here on campus for the Pratt School of Engineering. For the most part, though, this is something that you would take care of on your own. If you contact us because you need help, you might be able to use a loan, purchase a computer. So we can connect you with federal loans that might enable you to cover the cost. You can reach out just to your financial aid counselor to get information on that. Duke stores. So if you do want to buy a computer from Duke stores, they offer a payment plan as well. So you can sign up for that and pay it over the course of your time here at Duke. There is some interest associated with it while you're here. And that rate you can check with them at the time, but they'll have lots of advertisements about the program when you go to the Duke stores facility when you get here. I also mentioned we'd be talking about Flex. What is Flex, first of all? It's a flexible spending account, and it's attached to your Duke card, which is a physical card. But if you're like me, I just use my cell phone. It's an app on your cell phone, and it much like when you pay from a cell phone in a line at the store, you can do that here on Duke's campus. So it just connects to an app on your phone, and you can use that like you would a card to make purchases on campus. You can use it basically at any campus vendor. So everything from dining facilities to laundry to Duke stores. You can use Flex to make these purchases. It's easy to do, but it's not connected to financial aid. So if you go and you make charges across campus, your financial aid, remember those things that do and do not change your level of aid? You can't let us know that you purchase things on your card and then your aid's not going to cover that. So please know. And so we have some tips about to make sure that you're making the most of this and not overspending. You don't have unintended consequences from its use. You should put money on it in advance. And so you can connect it to your student account. Challenge in doing that is if you connect your Flex to your student account, it will go on your bill. But if those charges have not been paid, they'll actually hold your registration for future semesters. So you might not get the classes that you want or need because you still got your Flex charges sitting out there. So instead, you can go right on the app, you can link it to an account, and you can transfer money over to it, have that on your card so that you're never spending more than you actually intend, because it can be really easy to lose track of those charges. You can monitor how much is on there right online. You use the Duke Hub again to monitor your student account, so you log right into that. And if you want to go classic, there actually are still old school kiosks where you can upload money if you don't want to use the app to do so, or you can stop by the Duke card office. So if you want to make it painful to spend money, this is a great way to put something between you and a lot of flexing because you could actually use the kiosk or the Duke card office. But in the meantime, the app is very convenient. Here's something else we want you to think about as you arrive on campus, and that is to plan early for summer. You're going to be shocked because you will feel like you just got to campus and people are already going to start asking you, what do you want to do for summer? Are you going to do an internship? Are you thinking about applying in your first year to Duke Engage? Are you thinking about setting up study abroad? Are you going to go to summer school? And depending on what you choose, they're going to have different financial implications. And so financial aid can consider up to 2 6-week summer sessions in terms of financial aid eligibility. And so we would like to encourage you to start thinking about that. The way we figure out what your cost for summer is we take your parent contribution, and it's 25% of that for each 6-week session. That's just a really quick way to kind of gauge what your cost might be to attend a 6-week summer session. Now, if your parent contribution is zero, let's say you're a Questbridge student, for instance, then for you, what that means is you've got 2 covered 6-week sessions, essentially. And so think about that as you begin to plan. Think about the cost as well of your program as you are planning. If you want to do a study abroad through a Duke program, that's something that your financial aid can consider. So if you want to take a lot of options, do not hold back just because the study abroad window for you might be in the summer. You may actually be able to have aid to help you cover that cost. Okay, so we've told you some top tips. We've talked a little bit about things that affect your financial aid, and I promised that we'd actually also be the money people to talk to you about how can we help you navigate and make the most of the money that you have while you're here. And so we've got a couple of tips on that. The first one may seem obvious, but we want you to talk to us. So what are your resources for helping you navigate this? First and foremost, these are real people who work in the financial aid office, some faces that aren't on the call with us today. And what we would like for you to know is just that before you make decisions that could have big financial implications, if you've got any concerns, please let us know. That's what we're here for. We are here to support you. We're called the Office of Financial Support, not just the Office of Financial Aid. And we take that title really seriously. We're here to help you make good decisions. We're here to help your families make good decisions. And so sometimes parents have questions for us that you might not be thinking about at all. Should they draw down from their retirement? Should they take a home equity line? What would be the implications of doing different things? We can answer those questions for them before they make the decisions so that they can make the best decisions in terms of financing the education here at Duke. So We take appointments. I'll talk a little bit more about our hours at the end of the presentation and different ways you can connect with us. One great thing we offer are virtual appointments, and we offer those to both students and to parents. And so we are here and accessible to you anytime you need it. So please get to know us. The other thing that you may not realize is a service to you here at Duke is personal finance. We have an office of personal finance and student loans, and we offer a wide variety of services. I am joined by my colleague, Anna Schofelt, who is here, and we'll be talking through the next set of slides. She is our personal finance counselor here at Duke, and she's a great person to get to know and can help you with things when you first enter all the way to the time you graduate. If you come back for graduate school, she helps our graduate students as well. So Anna, I'm going to turn it over to you and just let me know when you're ready for me to advance the slides.
That sounds great, Miranda, and thank you so much for that warm introduction. And as Miranda said, my name is Anna Schofelt, and I oversee our personal finance educational outreach. My office works very, very closely with the financial support office. We're a little bit different in that, as you're trying to figure out your financial aid award, you have that change in family circumstances. Miranda and the colleagues who really have that touch point on financial aid, they are your go-to. Once they get your financial aid questions addressed, maybe you've got a student loan as part of your financial aid. Maybe you've been seeing on TikTok that you should be investing tomorrow. Those questions, that's probably going to be something that you chat with me about. And we kind of have that space for reflection and sharing information. So as you're thinking broader personal finance questions, navigating the world of loans, managing debt, budgeting, building credit, investing. Again, our office is that go-to support system on campus. So a couple of things that, again, this theme of what are those items I should really be prioritizing as I get ready to join my Duke family, be on campus, and maybe have a lot more financial independence than you might be normally used to, having been in high school and being back home. So that first tip that I'm going to run through, so Miranda, if you want to jump to the next slide, is spending, and really thinking about the budget that you will use throughout this first semester. As Miranda already hinted, you may have some ease of access with Flex Dollars. You may see some really cool swag at the bookstore. And there may be a lot of other really amazing opportunities that, you have available to you at Duke that come with a sticker price. We want you to be able to say yes to a lot of these fun, super exciting things. Going to a midnight diner run with your friends, or, something cool in the Durham community and you're all sharing an Uber ride to go to. But the reality of all of our situations is that typically when it comes to spending, we can say yes to some things, but we can't say yes to everything, especially if it means just putting things on our Duke account and winding up with a bill that we're not entirely sure how we're going to cover. So in terms of thinking about your spending plan, Miranda, if you want to head to the next slide, really cool resource that I want to share with you. Our office partners with a larger professional organization that gives access to students a free personal finance website called Cash Course. The tool I have featured on there is their budget wizard. I am not an Excel savvy person. I hate Excel. I also kind of hate Google Sheets. So this is honestly the budgeting tool that I use when I am reflecting on what my spending plan is going to look for the month, or what I'm trying to maybe make goals for the year. Having a space to be able to create your spending plan, thinking about, well, what is the income I'm going to rely on? Maybe I have savings from the summer. Maybe I'm going to be working in school, and thinking about some of those expenses that are going to be part of your reality. Maybe you are not somebody who's going to leave campus, but I will tell you, when I got to Duke, I didn't realize how many awesome dining places there were. Maybe that's going to be that item, that guilty pleasure that's really tempting. So again, the spending plan is going to be really important, and one of those first steps you should be thinking about. So again, not just some of those expenses related to your academics, but you as a human, you as somebody who might want to explore Durham, you as somebody who's going to connect socially with others, which again, may cost you. And in thinking about that spending plan too, again, theme for me, spending on food, Duke dining, be very cognizant as part of your meal plan, you do receive food points. If you can, try to budget those out as well. Sometimes there can be that stress of getting down to the end of a semester and realizing, oh, I'm running out of food points, and that's been kind of the main way I've been feeding myself all semester. Maybe you weren't really a big fan of that buffet all-you-can-eat style, and you really liked exploring the different eateries on campus. So good things to keep in mind with that spending plan. And again, one of the first things you should be thinking about on campus. Now, as part of that spending plan, that balance of expenses, we also have to identify some income. Miranda's talked a lot about work study. Our office helped to facilitate that new Duke student employment website. So I am also very passionate about work study. It is a great way to get your income stream established. And what's really cool too is that as you're a Duke student, we already know you have done fantastic things in high school, but you're going to notice people are going to want to start hearing about your Duke resume. What are you doing at Duke? What are you adding to that really awesome list of experiences? Your work study position may not only be a source of income for you, but it could also be that first way that you're networking with faculty, networking with a staff member who maybe brings you on to more research or writes a letter of recommendation for you as you're trying to apply to one of those $50,000 internships. Wish I would have known that those were a thing when I was in school. So definitely use that work study award. And I think we highlighted the Duke student employment site on the next slide as well. So really get familiar with, again, that site, get used to looking for jobs. A really nice feature about this new site is you can actually set up something called job mail and get personalized notifications for job categories you're interested in. At Duke, we have a lot of students who are really interested in research. If that's something that is also kind of checking some boxes for you, or that's an area where you'd really like to build some professional experience, you can start filtering to get notifications when research type positions go live. The other thing I'll add about work study, and I'm sure Miranda and the folks on this call have heard this feedback from students as well. Oftentimes there's a little bit of hesitation to use that work study award during your first semester of campus. You want to get used to what the academic rigor of Duke looks like. You want to focus on that academic success, meeting friends, maybe figuring out the bus system to go back and forth between East and West Campus. But a couple of years ago, I was chatting with a group of junior and senior students who were serving as first-year advisory council members. And I asked them, what's that one thing you would tell yourself from first semester of your freshman year? The overwhelming feedback was, I took way too many naps. I had a lot more free time than I realized. And honestly, that adjustment to class, I'm glad I gave myself some time, but after those first couple of weeks, I probably should have found something better to do with my time than just sleeping over 10 hours a day. So again, that nervousness of wanting to make sure you balance it all, completely fair and completely valid. And as you start to progress through those first couple of weeks of school, maybe go back to that reflection and ask yourself, how am I doing with my schedule? Do I find that I'm balancing everything well? And do I maybe have time in my schedule to fit in that work study award? Alrighty, so we've talked about budgeting, we've talked about working. The last thing I have to speak to as being a member of the Office of Student Loans and Personal Finance are your student loans. So a little bit different take on the know what you owe. Not so much your billing, but what is your obligation as a student borrower? At Duke, we see a lot of different types of student loans come through. And you may have a federal loan. You may have a Duke Educational Assistance Loan. You may have a North Carolina State Assist Loan. Those are all different lenders. That's all different money coming through Duke, coming to you. And eventually you're going to have an obligation to pay that money back. So one of the best things, one of the best pieces of advice I can give to you is get used to monitoring your loans. Even though there's no obligation to pay on your loans while you're a student, it's probably not going to be the best thing for you to just accept your loans, ignore them for 4 years. And when you start getting emails that it's time to get ready to pay, that's the first time you've looked at your loans in about 4.5 years. So a couple screenshots that I have for you. For many loan borrowers, especially my federal loan borrowers, you're actually going to be working with a third party called a federal loan servicer to manage your loans. One of the questions I get all the time from folks with those direct unsubsidized loans, those loans that accrue interest. Anna, what if I want to pay that interest down, manage my debt while in school, and get that unsubsidized loan to almost act like those subsidized loans? I'm going to cover the interest all through school, so I'm just worrying about that principal balance, the actual dollar amount I agreed to use upon graduation. You can pay on that interest. You can even start paying on that principal loan balance through your federal loan servicer site. Once these loans disperse on August 19th, you're going to get an email probably from about 6 weeks of that August date. And you're going to hear from somebody who says, hey, I'm Moella, I'm Great Lakes Loan Servicing, and you're going to work with me when it comes time to pay your loans. Duke also has a servicer for anybody who's using one of our Duke institutional loans. Our servicer is called Heartland ECSI, and the same thing applies. If you have an awesome summer internship and you're ready to pay off your loan from your first year here, go for it. But again, you'll have to use those servicer platforms. Even if you're not in a position to pay on the loans, knowing how to manage and track these amounts as you're continuing to progress through your Duke experience is again going to make you that much more prepared when it comes time to repayment. But don't worry, we offer a lot of loan counseling sessions before that time to help get you ready for that new obligation. Now, if I had a full other hour, we would probably start diving into building credit. Maybe I'd even ask you to share what your income looks like, and we'd go through a spending plan together. We might even start talking about Roth IRAs. We don't have time for that. And we've talked a lot about money, a lot about financial aid, and I'm sure some of this is getting a little overwhelming. So I want to leave you with this final note. As Miranda kind of mentioned, our offices are here to provide support throughout the school year. And to reiterate that, the personal finance program offers the exact same types of services. We can chat one-on-one in person. We can meet in Zoom while you're in your PJs drinking your cup of coffee from the comfort of your dorm, again, online, and kind of create that space together to reflect on your personal finance questions. If you're not sure how to make a budget, or you just want somebody to ask you some good questions to help you reflect on what you value most when you're thinking about spending. If using loans makes you nervous and you weren't entirely excited to see loans as part of your financial aid package, and you want to know what that's going to look like long term, what are some things you could be doing now to manage those loans in the future? We can absolutely create that space and chat about it together. So as a reminder, we have a website, personalfinance.duke.edu, and you can get on that site to make appointments with us. As you also start to maybe connect on campus, join clubs, maybe create your own group, know that we can also offer workshops. So just reach out to us however you may need us, through an individual appointment, through a group session, and whatever personal finance question you have. Our office is here to create that space for reflection, offer information, and help you feel more confident as you're managing money at Duke.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Anna. We appreciate that. And I know we are getting close to time, and so I'm going to accelerate the last few slides, and you're like, oh, thank goodness, because this is a lot of information. I wanted to make one quick note about something that you might see on your financial aid, just to keep it in your mind so that you don't panic. When we've offered your financial aid to you, it initially says Duke University grant, but a good portion, about a third of our financial aid is supported from donors, people who've given to Duke. And so when you come to Duke, we end up switching out some of those funds once we identify the donor. You'll see potentially a change if you go on to Duke Hub and you're looking at your financial aid. Suddenly it will say, the so-and-so grant or something like that. It's the same amount of money. We know that you're going to qualify for that, but it just means that we've identified a donor who is sponsoring that portion of your financial aid here. And you may end up getting information about them, maybe even an opportunity to network or to interact with that donor. If you would like to do that, it can be a great network for you to connect with as you move forward. And they love hearing about you as well. But mostly I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that you might see some of those changes as we connect your grants with sponsors. I am going to try to move into the question and answer section. Make sure, first of all, you know how to get in touch with us. We have FAQs on our website. this is our website. Click the contact us. I mentioned we had virtual appointments. Um, One thing that I just want to highlight is we host walk-in hours. And so those will be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for this upcoming semester. These are the hours we do: Tuesday afternoons for walk-ins, anytime Wednesday 9 to 4:30. And then on Thursdays, we'll be there in the mornings. You can make an appointment with us Monday through Friday. And so I've made a note on that. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. are our appointment windows. And you can request those to be in person. We have found students really love the virtual appointments for all the reasons Anna mentioned. So feel free to book with us. You can make all those appointments online and on our website. So I'll stop my screen share. And hopefully we've
Wonderful.
got a few minutes left, right? So
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all so much. We've been answering questions in the Q&A as well, but if you haven't had a chance to ask your question, go ahead and ask it. This is now the time. And so we've answered a few, but we've left a few that we think you also might have a question of, or maybe a few people have. So could you guys talk about the estimated percentage of students at Duke who participate in work study?
percent of students who participate in work study, all financial aid applicants are offered work study. So in fact, you don't even have to have financial need, by the way, to be offered work study. We have our own work study program. And the number of students who participate varies widely from year to year. It can be anywhere from a quarter to a third of our students, but it depends. COVID obviously changed the participation levels because our classes during a certain year were virtual. And so we're just now getting our stride back. And I will say we're making some innovations and outreach and attempting to just make more students and departments aware of it. So we're hoping to see that continue to grow as more and more students take advantage of work study once they realize it really is to their benefit. The number of students working on campus is much greater than that, and many of those have been working without the work study benefit. And that money comes to us in big part from the federal government, so we should be using that. We have to send it back if you don't use it. So let's make good use of it. And if you're going to be finding a job, please, please, please tell them you have work study that comes with you as you do that.
Wonderful. So this student logged into their student account and noted that there was a bill due today. Is that true? Is it correct that they need to pay fall portion by today?
It is August 1st. So we are coming to you live. There's still 8 minutes left. No, it's not quite that desperate. You don't need to log off and go pay that right this moment. They are due today. And so what's going to happen after today is they're going to take a look at everybody whose payments came in, and then if payment hasn't been received, they will apply late fees to overdue balances. And so we do want you to go out and ensure that that's paid. You've got a couple of options to pay it. So maybe you just now realize, gosh, I should have paid this and I didn't. Okay, let us know. You can work with us if you needed additional federal loans to cover that. You can let us know. We can add those to your account. If you were thinking, is there any way to pay this in smaller chunks? Yes, there is. And so you can still sign up for a payment plan for this year. And by the way, what you owe is just for the fall semester. You'll see a similar bill in December. Actually, it'll come out in November and is due in December for the spring semester. And so you can set up a payment plan for the whole year. And so you can kind of just double the amount, and that'd be about what you would owe for the year in most cases. You have until August 23rd is the latest day to sign up for that for the fall term. And when you do, there'll be a little bit of a down payment with it. 20% is going to be the amount that's due by August 23rd. And so you'll put that down payment, and then you can space the rest out over the course of the rest of the year or semester, depending on what you choose.
Wonderful. And maybe a question for Anna and Miranda, but where are you located? Do you have a physical office on campus, East or West Campus? Where can students find you?
We, both offices, personal finance and student loans, and the undergraduate aid office, we are on West Campus. So if you remember where undergraduate admissions is, so if you can remember just before you go to the circle and, where you see the chapel and all of those things, we're on the other side of the street, conveniently located at the bus stop right there. And you can, we're right across the street and hidden behind the graduate school. So if you see the graduate school building that looks just like admissions, kind of its mirror right across the street, that's your bus stop. We're right behind it. It's also right next to the Karsh Alumni Center, which is a really big building right on the corner there. So if you've gotten in that area, that's where we are. Undergraduate aid is on the first floor, and student loans and personal finance is on the second floor of that building.
Wonderful. And those look like those are all the questions that we have. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Students, thank you for being here. Parents, if you're here, thank you for being here. Family members. And a recording will be put up on the New Student and Family Programs YouTube page within about 48 hours of the session taking place. Awesome. Well, that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you so much for being here. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.